It's good news for the Boston Red Sox and their fans as manager Alex Cora is officially now here to stay.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It is completely free. So you might as well check it out because Locked On is your team every single day. This episode of Locked On Red Sox is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Locked On Red Sox. Some beg to differ that it might not be necessarily a happy Thursday as the Red Sox did drop a 3-game series against the freaking Colorado Rockies in Colorado, a team with one of the worst records in baseball. And not only did the Red Sox lose the series, but they got completely blown out on Wednesday in 20-7 fashion. The Colorado Rockies are only the second team in Major League Baseball to score 20 runs in a game this year. You want to know who that other team was? The Oakland A's. I mean, how ironic. Two of the worst teams in baseball that have just not been very good this year and haven't been able to generate all these runs are the teams that score 20 runs in one game. It's wild. That is baseball. And it just is what it is. Unfortunately, it happened to the Red Sox. Nothing was going right for them with a season high 4 errors in one game, and nobody had it. Nick Pivetta started off incredibly rough, giving up 8 runs, 7 of them earned, and the bullpen just could not get the outs either. And the Red Sox were just letting up base traffic every single inning. And that's not a recipe to win a baseball game. It was just an absolute mess. The Red Sox just did not have a good road trip. And I can't wait for them to just be back home, just put that trip aside and just get back on track and bounce back against the Yankees this weekend. That is what we can hope for as we desperately need them to bounce back from whatever that was on Wednesday. And it's kind of funny because those types of losses are just funny. You can't really help but laugh. It's one of those things where, okay, it's obviously just a fluke. You're not going to lose games 20-7 every day. You're not going to give up 20 runs in a baseball game every single day because that's incredibly hard to do no matter how bad or how good your team is. So it's obviously just a rare circumstance in which the Red Sox just could not get it together and gave up a ton of runs. But hopefully they can bounce back this weekend, especially knowing some exciting news that manager Alex Cora is now here to stay. He has been extended. He agreed with the Red Sox on a 3-year contract extension that covers the 2025 through 2027 seasons. He will make more than $7 million per season. His original contract was set to run at the end of this season. So I was curious if he was going to end up leaving. I thought, after this season with the end of his contract being here, that he walked away because the Red Sox haven't done a lot to invest in the team over the last few years, and the talent that they've provided him with hasn't been as good as it could have been. So I thought for sure there was a chance he was just tired of this organization and wanted to go somewhere where the front office was investing more in the team on the field. But he said he was happy with being in Boston, and he has definitely deserved tons of flowers for the way that this team is performing this year and how he's managing them, because he certainly is allowing them to exceed expectations by a lot. They're one of the most surprising teams in baseball this year after finishing in last place in the AL East last year with identical 78 and 84 records in the past 2 seasons. another season 2 years ago in which they finished in last. And they did have a relatively quiet offseason, all things considered. So Alex Cora knew he had to lean into the development of his young core as being the key to the team's success this season. And that certainly has played out with first-time All-Stars Jarren Duran and Tanner Houck both having breakout seasons. Cedar Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, and David Hamilton also becoming key contributors and adding more athleticism to the club this season. So there's definitely been a few players that have stood out that are younger, that are blossoming into the players they could really be, that are contributing a lot to this team right now. And Alex Cora is a lot to thank for that. The Red Sox have a very good shot still to make the playoffs. They are very much in the wild card race on the Royals' tails, and they are just going to need to continue to win series and get back on track to where they were prior to the All-Star break, because that version of the Red Sox that we saw for the last month and a half or so leading into the break was the best version of Red Sox baseball we've seen all season long. And if they could get back to that and hone in on that while also getting some help, hopefully at the trade deadline, they have a really good chance to be a contending team this year. And I have had conversations on this show about what it would take to get Alex Cora to stay. And he is now here committed to managing in Boston. And I'm not sure that every Red Sox fan realizes how lucky we actually are to have Alex Cora. I mean, if you look at the 2021 season and the Red Sox exceeding expectations then and going to the ALCS that year that people didn't expect. I mean, there have been things during his tenure that they have done very well when they weren't supposed to be playing well. And he's mastered to a T how to utilize the speed on the Red Sox roster this year. And he also has figured out which bullpen arms to use when. For example, Chase Anderson, who came into the blowout game on Wednesday against the Rockies, he has kind of established himself in a role for this Red Sox team to where even though he is not good, he throws in the games that are blowouts and are already a wash. And a lot of times, Alex Cora just lets him finish the game. He did not do that on Wednesday. But a lot of times, he'll just come in the 6th or 7th inning if the game is basically over and the Red Sox are trailing by a lot or even winning by a lot, when there's breathing room for him to give up some runs and it won't matter anyway. And it saves the bullpen a lot of work because other guys in the pen are able to rest for longer periods of time if they're not going to be throwing in those games. So as bad as Chase Anderson has been this year, and as much as it would be easy to say we need to get rid of him, it actually might not make sense to get rid of him because he is that guy you can use in those games that are a wash earlier on. So that way, then you don't have to use other bullpen arms. And Alex Cora is an absolute genius for finding him that role on this team and utilizing him as that guy when they're pretty much out of a game or they're winning by a ton of runs and it would take a ridiculous miracle for them to lose a game. And being in that role is obviously probably not fun for him, knowing he's the go-to guy when the Red Sox don't have a chance to win the game. But hey, he has a role on this team and he's getting pitching time on the major league roster. So can't really complain at the end of the day about how he's being utilized. And also, for one, let's just talk about the brawl that happened on Wednesday. I mean, absolutely crazy. Reese McGuire flied out, and then Rockies starting pitcher Quantrill said something to him that was pretty triggering to him, and then he got in his face, and then the benches cleared. It was absolutely crazy, and just lots that happened in that game. But Alex Cora kept his cool and tried to keep his players composed, and that's something I really like about him. He looks out for these guys. He takes care of them like family, and he has a relationship with them to where he can goof around with them to make it a more fun clubhouse vibe, but he can also be serious when he needs to be. And that was the biggest reason to me why Alex Cora is still here and why the Red Sox wanted to hang on to him as the manager, is because he truly is a player's coach, and managing can make all the difference, especially when it comes to postseason play. When you are a manager for a playoff team, that could make the difference between you and another team when it comes to your vibes during the postseason and your chances of winning. So I'm very proud that Alex Cora is our manager. I feel really lucky to have him. And there was some rumblings about whether he was going to stay after this season. And now we have our answer. We don't need to sweat about it and worry about the Red Sox having to make moves to improve the team in the offseason, as well as finding a new manager. And it was interesting because in his latest interview, when he was asked about his contract situation, he didn't really give an answer. He just said, hopefully we can talk about it after the World Series. So he didn't really give an answer either way as to whether he was leaning in the direction of staying or he was close on anything with the Red Sox. So it was definitely really interesting the way this unfolded, but he is now here. We have him for another few years, and that should make Red Sox fans very happy because he is a very good manager overall, and we as Red Sox fans are lucky to have him. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about something that could have helped with Alex Cora deciding he wanted to stay. So you won't want to miss that. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skill trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Talk about a convenient way to order electrical supplies, and you definitely want to make sure you don't run out of those. So check out Supply House today. Also, check out Game Time if you're looking to score last-minute deals on tickets. One of the biggest things I love about it is that when compared to other ticket vendors, their prices are always lower, and they actually go down the closer that it gets to the event. And they have all kinds of things on there and events that you can get tickets for, like comedy shows, concerts, sporting events, whatever you want that you need a ticket for, Game Time has it for you. With killer last-minute tickets, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. It's so easy because it shows you all of these games that are going on, and it shows you a seat map so that you can actually see what it would look like sitting in that spot, so you can be reassured that you won't get a bad seat with an obstructed view. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time really will guarantee you the lowest prices for all of your ticket needs, and you won't be disappointed, so check it out today. Also, subscribe to Locked On Sports today on YouTube or check it out on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app, as our network has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, and it's available to keep you caught up in all things going on in sports. We here will give you the biggest stories without you having to worry about scrolling through Twitter or looking at the national networks to find the stories that you want. We will give you all of the biggest things going on with all of our experts here at Locked On. So make sure that you check that out today. With the news that Alex Cora has been extended, basically simultaneously, Craig Breslow has officially picked a lane. He came out with an announcement on Wednesday that said he is going to be looking to add to the team at the trade deadline. And you have to wonder if the two kind of went hand in hand, because I do wonder if Alex Cora signing his extension to stay on as the manager for the next 3 seasons beyond 2024 had to do with some sort of reassurance that the Red Sox were definitely going to buy at this deadline. Because what if they were talking to Cora and he said, they haven't done a lot in the last couple of seasons to show that they're invested in this team right now. And at the trade deadline over the last couple of years, it's been a little underwhelming in terms of the moves that have been made. So I do wonder if he made Craig Breslow and company promise that they will buy at this year's deadline. I mean, it might not be the case, but you almost have to wonder, because it was a little bit weird how soon after Alex Cora's extension news came out that the news then came out that Breslow is going to buy. So if that is the case, props to Cora for standing his ground, and he deserves it. He deserves to be managing a team with how well they've been playing this year that should be invested in, and deserves to be managing a team that the front office has confidence in with all the hard work he's done. Because if they don't, then what is the point of him staying? Because then what is all this work that he's been doing for if they're not going to invest in that team? So you do wonder, if the two are connected. But Craig Breslow was pretty vocal about it. He did say he is looking to improve the team. He said, at some point, we need to stop with the stupid analogies and put the turn signal on. We've played really good baseball for the last few months. We've put ourselves in this position where we're going to look to improve the team. That's where we would want to be. I think everybody who takes this job does so with an eye being in a place where not only can you add to the team, but it's the right decision. We obviously have to be mindful of the future. In a perfect world, we can improve our 2024 team and also our 25 and beyond. That's my job. But I think as things stand right now, we're looking for ways to improve the club. He also re-emphasized that pitching, both starting and relief pitching, as well as right-handed hitting, are the areas of need that the club will look to upgrade. And this is music to a lot of fans' ears, because in the past couple seasons, Chaim Bloom never directly picked a lane. He never really said whether they were going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. And then when the trade deadline came, he still didn't pick a lane, and he kind of did a mix of both and tried his best to do both. So it's cool that we're hearing from Craig Breslow himself, and he's giving us a definite answer as to what he plans to do at this trade deadline. Now, honestly, actions do speak louder than words. It is easy for him to just say that he's going to add pieces at the deadline, but for Red Sox fans now, we need to actually see it happen before we get too excited about it, because rightfully so. I mean, it's hard to just trust that and trust their word, because even going into the offseason, when Sam Kennedy said, we're going to go full throttle this offseason, and that didn't quite happen either. So this ownership group / front office contingency as a whole has lost trust of the fans. And in order to gain that trust back, they're going to have to stick to their word. And that means adding to this team at the deadline and buying pieces rather than selling off pieces. And if they want to try to add for the future as well, by all means, try to do that. But that shouldn't be at the expense of the current team. And that shouldn't mean trading away guys like Kenley Jansen, who you absolutely need if you want to make a playoff run, because he is a defined closer. And it would be taking a big risk if you trade him and then you have to try to throw somebody else into the closing spot and not know what they're going to give in that role. So at the end of the day, if you want to improve for the future as well, you can do that if there's a smaller trade that you can maybe make for a piece of this team that's less impactful. But I don't like the idea of moving guys like Nick Pivetta, Tyler O'Neill, Kenley Jansen, because these are all guys who in different ways are needed for this team and have been big parts of the team's success this year. So if you look at the pool of teams, that are going to be looking to move players, you have a guy like Garrett Crochet, a starter who's a very popular starter on the market. He will likely be pretty expensive. It probably would mean moving one of the top 3 prospects, as in Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, or Roman Anthony. So I don't know that the Red Sox would go to that level in terms of the types of pieces that they're going to bring onto this team. They might not make any drastic moves because they still want to keep their future intact. But if they could get a lower cost starting pitcher to slot into the rotation, even in the 4 or 5 spot, they don't need to be a top 1 or 2 starter, because the Red Sox have found that in Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford right now so far. They can be a 4 or 5 caliber starter, but at least it's a defined starter that they can bring in every 5th day. And the Red Sox could feel better about knowing they have a guy they can put out there. So there's definitely decisions that need to be made in terms of how big are they willing to go at this deadline. But there are ways that they can improve this team by going smaller, like what I just said about a starting pitcher that could be a 4 or 5. And they do need to add help in the bullpen due to the injuries they do have, and a right-handed bat that could hit well against lefties. And that's the problem with if they decide to trade Tyler O'Neill. He's like the one right-handed impactful bat they have. So then they'd kind of be stuck in the same spot if they trade him and they bring in a different right-handed power bat. I would prefer to just add and keep O'Neill in there, because he has been absolutely crucial in terms of his ability to hit left-handed pitching, because he is a right-handed bat. So lots of decisions the Red Sox need to make, but they have the potential to have a very good trade deadline here. And I feel like the Alex Cora extension might have gone hand in hand with them making a promise to him that they were going to add. So I'm excited to see what happens here. But it's good news for the Red Sox and their fans all around. And even though this whole road trip against the Dodgers and Rockies absolutely stunk, at least those are a couple pieces of good news that we can take away from it, is that they still see that this Red Sox team is worth investing in. And coming up, despite the bad losses they had over the last few days, there are 2 pitchers who really stepped up that should not go unnoticed in terms of their performances. So coming up, I'm going to be discussing that. This episode of Locked On Red Sox is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities. With hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rivals' cities. I know as a Red Sox fan that there are so many other incredible major league ballparks, like Baltimore and Pittsburgh are 2 of my favorites that I've been to. I used Booking.com to book trips to both of those places, and I've gotten so many great deals on my stays. So if you are looking to travel a lot or are planning trips coming up, Booking.com is the place to go. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. Who doesn't love good deals, especially when it comes to a trip, which is a fun thing, or at least it's supposed to be. So might as well take advantage of it and use Booking.com so that the whole process is really a lot smoother. Also, if you're looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, you can check out PrizePicks today, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and you're locked in. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Just download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It is super simple, and you can win lots of money. That's a great combo, in my opinion, so might as well check it out. Also, just a reminder to check out Locked On Sports today to keep yourself caught up in all things going on in the sports, no matter where you are or what time zone you're in. We as a network will keep you up to date on everything, so you don't have to rely on other outlets to do so. All of our experts here will give you the biggest stories every single day. So make sure you check that out on YouTube or Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. You certainly will not be disappointed. Lots of good news coming out of the Red Sox yesterday between Alex Cora signing an extension to be the manager for the next 3 seasons after this year, Craig Breslow finally picking a lane and deciding that the Red Sox will be buyers at the trade deadline, which is fantastic news because I did worry that this rough road trip against the Dodgers and the Rockies would cause the front office to rethink the idea of being buyers and decide that it's better for them if they sell. But with how they've been playing overall from the end of May until now, this road trip might not have been the greatest, but there have been so many games that have been very good that this team has played. So they definitely deserve to be invested in. And I'm sure the players are very excited after hearing that news from Breslow as well. And yes, there were tons of things that went wrong in this series against the Rockies. I mean, starting with the injuries, they just need their high leverage relievers, especially Justin Slayton and Chris Martin. Kenley Jansen not making the trip certainly hurt the Red Sox. And Wednesday's game was just an absolute mess that doesn't even deserve to be talked about because everything that could have possibly gone wrong just went wrong for this Red Sox team. But there have been a couple pitchers who deserve credit for how they've pitched as of late. For example, Cooper Criswell, who started the Tuesday night game, the middle game of the series in Colorado, a game that the Red Sox desperately needed to win because they were on a 4-game losing skid and they needed to grab a win in that game, and they did. They went out and won 6-0. Tyler O'Neill crushed 2 home runs in the game. It was fun to watch. And Cooper Criswell was the starting pitcher who got called up when Garrett Whitlock got injured, then got sent back down to AAA, and now he's back up. And he had a start worth remembering, not only for himself, but also for the team. He went 7 innings, giving up 5 hits, 0 earned runs with 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. It was his career-long 7 innings pitched with runs given up because he had never pitched 7 shutout innings before. So it was a great start for not only himself personally, but also for the Red Sox. They desperately needed longevity, and for him to go out there and absolutely shove and get through 7 innings so that the bullpen could be well rested, that is exactly what Boston needed. And there was a lot of pressure riding on him because he was pitching in a game that the Red Sox desperately needed to win. And he went out there and he just took care of business. And it was great to watch because he, in terms of his standing on this team, the Red Sox haven't really made a definite decision on him. And for him to go back down to AAA and get called back up, that's going to be huge, hopefully, for his confidence moving forward and his ability to feel like he can pitch well with this team in the future. This team desperately needed that start out of him, and I'm hoping it leads to more starts from him that are very solid because he definitely deserves to continue to get opportunities after a start like that. And it was especially disappointing because I thought that that game was going to give the Red Sox the momentum that they needed to win this series in Colorado. But obviously the opposite of that happened. They did not win the series, and they very much did not win it in rough fashion on Wednesday. So that part was disappointing. But I was happy to see Criswell go out there and shove because he absolutely deserves to continue to build up his confidence and get a good chance to be able to pitch for this team because he has shown glimpses of being a very talented pitcher. Another pitcher who's been very good since getting called back up is Cam Booser. He's kind of bounced back and forth between the majors and AAA this season. He's pitched 31 games overall this year, 34 innings total. He's given up 28 hits, 10 earned runs, 3 home runs, and 8 walks, and he struck out 37 batters. But he has been very strong as of late. In terms of his last 15 days, he's pitched 3 innings, giving up 0 earned runs with 1 walk and 2 Ks. And if you are looking to go even deeper, he has not given up a run in a while. The last time he gave up runs in an outing was on June 2nd versus the Tigers when the Red Sox lost 8-4, and he came into pitch and gave up 3 earned runs in that game. But every outing since then, he has been absolutely dominant, and it's been really fun to see that take place. I feel like when you look at the grand scheme of things of this Red Sox bullpen right now and the arms that they've been using, it's been huge to have Booser go out there and take care of business. And yes, the Red Sox need their guys back like Justin Slayton and Chris Martin. But you know what? If Booser continues to pitch well, he very much deserves to be in the conversation as somebody who could pitch in those high leverage situations and be trusted. Now, I still would like to see more because at the end of the day, he really hasn't pitched a lot overall for this team because of the fact that he has spent time in AAA as well. But what we've seen from him, especially as of late, has been a lifesaver for a bullpen that's really struggling and hanging on the brink right now because of the fact that they have guys who aren't fully healthy. And granted, getting Kenley Jansen back fully rested for the series against the Yankees this weekend will certainly help. But when you lose high leverage guys, that's really tough. But if he's able to slot in there and fill the shoes of a guy like Justin Slayton, that would be fantastic. So I definitely want to see more from him. But it's important to note how well he's actually been pitching as of late. And still a small sample size, but not having given up any runs in a good amount of outings is very promising for a guy who has been trusted to slot into this bullpen and take advantage and take care of business out there. And the Red Sox have to feel like they have something going with him. So I hope that he gets his opportunity to stay up in the majors now at this point. I think he's done enough to prove that he can be trusted in big games. And if they are looking to throw somebody, if it's a close game right now, maybe they're winning by 1 run or they're down by 1 run and they are looking for somebody to keep it at 1 run to give the offense a chance to come back and score later on. I'm taking a chance on Cam Booser right now in those situations, especially with their guys being down who usually would pitch in those situations, because he is a guy who as of late has been pitching very well. So I'm taking a chance on him in those types of situations, giving him even more confidence to be able to pitch when there's high stakes in games. And it could be a great experience for him. And if it backfires, okay, at least they tried it. If it doesn't backfire and he goes out there in a high leverage situation and pitches really well, then maybe you have another guy who can be in that conversation and adding to that depth of, okay, here's a guy who can be relied upon and called upon in a tight playoff game down the road. And that would be a win-win for the Red Sox because that's another valuable arm that you're adding. So relatively small sample size still with Booser, so not getting overly excited about it, but definitely worth noting how well he's been pitching as of late for the Red Sox, and I hope he's able to keep that up. But lots to be excited about with this Red Sox team. I know that this road trip was incredibly discouraging. I was very upset by it too, but hopefully the Red Sox can bounce back, get themselves back to playing the level of baseball that they were playing for the last month and a half or so leading into the All-Star break. That would be huge for them. They are right there in the mix of teams that are fighting for a playoff spot, and there's no reason it can't be them. So just get some more guys healthy, keep fighting, and hopefully find your way into a playoff spot in some capacity. As always, though, we as fans need to do our part and keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.